Hi, this is Bob Sorrentino from Rock and Roll Idols, and I'm here today with an old friend of about 50 or so years, Bill Pascali. And Bill's played with or toured with the Vanilla Fudge, the Rascals, Steam, and a whole bunch of other people. And now he's got a new project working. So welcome, Bill. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Bob. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. It's beautiful here this morning. 60
Yeah.
degrees, 60 degrees when I woke up this morning.
Wow. Yeah, it was 68 degrees here in my house. You know,
Yeah, but what
but
was it outside?
we've been breaking 100 here. It's been getting really hot. Yeah, you've been here for a while.
Yeah, no, and we've had quite the opposite. We had a really
Now that I'm
nice
playing
summer
again,
here.
I could miss you because you played and it was good having you around.
I I played. Yeah, I played. Um,
Well, I
but
could attest
anyway,
that for 12 years I retired, right?
that's right. That's right. And I was going to say you kind of been retired for 12 years, and now you're back on the scene with a new project. So, what's that all about, and who's in the group?
Well, it began with 7 years with Vanilla Fudge from 99 to 2006. And then I was from 2005 to 2010 with the Rascals. And I just got fed up totally with performing. And it wasn't the entertainment part, it was actually the business end of it really sucks. And I'm sure a lot of people know what that means because it's a horrible business. So I just retired. And 12 years later, okay, I had no idea I was going to play again. My brother moved here 2 months ago, Buster Pascali, of course. And he said, "Hey, Bill, now that I'm here," he said, "why don't we play?" And he's a drummer, and he's a damn good drummer. And we never played in the same band. We jammed, time to time in our life, but we never played in the same band. So I said, you know something, I'm gonna play again, even though I got rid of all my equipment. So within the past 2 months, I bought four major double keyboard organs I got in every room, and I'm building my chops back up. And they're coming quick. You never fall off the horse. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And my brother Buster said, the neighborhood I moved into, the guy that was going to buy my house, but I bought it instead. He said he's a guitar player, and he moved a couple of houses away from me. So that's Brad Jenks and his wife Brianna, really good people. Great guitar player, man. These laid back guys that just basically been doing it in their life because they have a love for the art. He started playing. I said, wow, he really is versatile. So he went out and bought a double neck guitar now. Everybody's buying equipment. So all this stuff is going down. And then Jimmy Kuma, I was speaking to, he's our bass player. I was speaking to him 2 years ago. Somehow on this rock site, I had put an ad in like 12 years ago for a bass player before I retired. And he answered it like 2 years ago. So I said, no, I've been retired for almost 10 years now. So he says, well, if you ever want to play, let me know. So I scrambled last month looking for his number. I couldn't find it. I was already playing with my brother and Brad. And all of a sudden, somehow, I sent an email out to that rock site that I was on, and it went actually to him somehow. Weird. And he called me and he says, "Yeah, hey, let's do something now that you're there. You're into it." He said, "So I got rid of most of my equipment because we haven't played." So he went out and bought some equipment too. So here we are, man. I came into rehearsal last week and said, "Hey guys, I just bought a second PA because maybe the first one is going to be strong enough for us." And Brad says, "What do you mean? I just bought a PA last night." We have sound systems up the yin yang, and we're raring to go. My brother bought a brand new set of drums, and of course he's got drums, but he just loves to start fresh, and everybody else is buying equipment. So it's beginning, and Bob, it's going to be all the tunes that are bands that I work with, and we're arranging them up in a way that it's not going to be offending to those groups. We're going to have a little identity there. But we're following kind of the pattern of the Fudge, which I've always admired. That's why being part of that band, it taught me a lot. We're going to be arranging them a little different, these songs, and not only doing, the Fudge, the Rascals, Steam, as you mentioned it, and a few of the, other bands I was with, but we're also going to do bands that I wasn't with, some covers. Like, I always wanted to do Whiter Shade of Pale. I thought that song was beautiful, but I didn't want to be compared to Procol Harum. So I'm actually doing that solo on my keyboard alone with a little different arrangement to it. The vocals are similar, but that's why I chose the tune too, because it's kind of in my alley. So and Deep Purple, Smoke on
Yeah,
the Water.
yeah,
People
yeah.
go, oh, a million bands come out and do Smoke on the Water. Well, what if we changed it a little bit? They made it a little more like a Pascali project, So that's what we called the band, Pascali Project, because everything we do, we're going to make a big project out of, you know. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I think our first gig is going to be August 14th. It looks like it's a lock-in now at a place called the Shalimar. It's an outdoor concert here in Lakeland, Florida. So anybody that might be listening or viewing this at all, and it lives in the Florida area, like central located Lakeland, go to the Shalimar on the 14th on a Saturday. I think it's Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure. Anyway, August 14th, come on down and see the band. We'll be outside by the pool, and under a canopy, of course. We're too old to be under the sun because we wilt easy. We get like raisins. You know.
Yeah, I we're playing some of those outdoor gigs in Florida in the summertime.
Yeah,
It's hot. It's
I did
hot.
one with you. I didn't even
Yeah.
feel the heat.
I don't
Yeah.
think it was too bad that day. That
Was
day, I
that
think,
was that the one where the Ybor cigar guy was there or something?
um,
It was at a
no,
biker club, something like that.
yeah, that was actually, it was, they were like, police and fire and guys like that.
Yeah, yeah.
What were they? The Centurions or something they call them.
Mhm.
They were bikers, but they were all police and,
Yeah, I was so
army and
glad you
fire
invited me
guys.
down to play because the guy that owned Ybor Cigar that had closed it up, he had boxes of cigars. I don't know if you're aware of it, but he gave me like 3 or 4 boxes of really good cigars, man. I was like giving them out to my family and stuff for a while.
I
But
don't even remember that, but if there were, Chris probably grabbed onto them because
yeah,
he's the one who got that gig.
yeah, I don't
Uh,
smoke cigar. I don't smoke, period. But I don't smoke cigars in general. But it's really nice. Good. You do, right? You have
I
good
I
cigars.
have a I mean, if somebody sticks one in my face, I haven't really smoked anything for
Yeah.
so many years.
There's an art to it.
Yeah, and you have to really, I think you really have to enjoy it. But talking about that, I mean, the highlight of everything I ever did was when I got to play with you in Daytona. I mean, that was just,
Yeah.
I had no business being there. It was so much fun, and the great thing about it was that the guys in the band, Charlie and Tommy, real musicians,
Yeah.
thanked me. They actually thanked me for playing with
Tommy
them. It
played
was so
drums
great.
for Rick Derringer
Yeah.
and J-Bo Keys. He backed up Bruce Springsteen on a few gigs, a few tours he did with him. And Charlie, of course, was from Tom Petty. Before Tom Petty made it, he actually wrote "Don't Do Me Like That" with Tom Petty. And then he left the band when Tom Petty made it, of course. And look what happened to Tom. He went all the way. And poor Charlie, man, went in another direction. But he was with Cactus and many other groups. So you were among royalty.
I,
What
absolutely.
should I say? I was,
Oh, please. But
But
that
it
was,
was a
I
lot
mean,
of fun.
that was just like I said, one of
And you
the
held your
highlights.
own, man. You're a good guitar player. Keep at it. Just don't give it up. We've got to keep that rock alive.
The hard thing about that is, carrying the stuff around. That's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah, well,
Moving
that's why you
equipment.
get light stuff. I'm having on the Clone Wheel Facebook site, I'm having chats with these guys that swear by Hammonds and B3s and everything. And I said, you kidding me? I played more B3s than Carmine Appice had wives, because everywhere we went, there was backline. Sorry, Carmine. But anyway, they say, oh, you got to have a B3, 360 pounds. I used to flip them, and
Yeah, right. Yeah.
now they would flip me. But the truth is, in a Leslie, 120 pounds and all that stuff. So I said, no, man. The clone wheel organs that are out now, I bought a Viscount. I bought a Krumar. I bought a Wurtzer. I bought a Korg. I bought 4 different keyboards that are double keyboard, and they look like Hammond B3s, but and they sound just like it too. So I even have the cabinets made. My brother does that to make it look like a B3. And
Oh,
you would be
nice.
shocked if you saw these keyboards because they look like, I got them on my website. Look just like B3s, but and sound like it too. So there's no difference. But you know the difference? 46 pounds. Give me a break, man. Yeah, I'm not going to carry heavy equipment no more.
No,
And
I know it's
and
too
this
hard.
serves purpose, you know. So I'm very happy with that. I managed to get the cord from a church in down in Miami. I drove all the way down there for it because the Church of God was giving up their keyboard and they wanted a nice, gracious donation. So I gave it to them. And this was the original first line chord. The serial numbers in the first line that came out with 1979. Now, not a scratch on it. And I said, wait a minute, how come it's like looks like it's new out of a showroom? And the guy says, well, it's went from the factory to the church and we had it here for like 40, 50 years. So I got an antique. I don't even want to take it out of the house, you know? So I bought other keyboards too. But that's what
So,
kept happening.
so, so as these keyboards are rolling in, what is Patty saying?
You know something, when I left music, she was totally into it and said, you know, I don't believe you're really leaving music, but you know, if you want to, I support you on it. But she's for 12 years, she said, you know, why don't you go back to playing? So it was an old story of, you know, when I was in the Fudge, I said, how come you never asked me to quit playing music when we got together, like all the other friends of mine's wives did, you know? And she said, why would I ask you to cut off your arm? And I
Mm,
didn't even have to ask what she meant by that, because music is a part of all of us. And to take something away because somebody asked you to, not because you want to, uh, you're losing something in yourself and you're not the person you want to be. So I understood that. She understands it. So when I said I'm going back to music, is, oh, here we go. You're going to buy a keyboard? I said, yeah, I'm going to buy several. So she's like, all right. And she hasn't bothered me. And she said, you know, better that you're buying these keyboards than your gun hobby. Because, you know, the past few years, although I was an NRA member since 1990, lifetime, man, I collect guns. And when I stopped playing music, it was like every week, oh, you got to get a new gun. This is great. A revolver or a 9mm, you know, the shotgun with the big clip in it and everything. So she said, I'm glad you're not buying more guns because that's just a big expense, you know?
they do
So,
get expensive. Yeah, they
yeah.
do get
So you got to
expensive.
do something that makes them happy that you went into it, you know? So to go back to music made her happy that I wasn't with guns. So it works out
Yeah, and
really well.
I'm sure she probably missed you, you know, playing and things like that. That's like my friend Nick when he was young.
Mhm.
They were getting ready, I think, to get some sort of contract in his band, and he was getting married, and he actually left, and he was an accountant. And that's what he did, and he's, I mean, he could sit here with an acoustic guitar and probably play, you know, the every Beatles song ever written and sing it,
Wow.
you know, on his own. And you know you think you're watching a concert. Um, and you know he dabbled a little bit here and there and laid off. And then when they got to Florida, he was playing a little bit, and now he's started doing solo. I guess about a year ago. Well, actually before COVID, and now he's in a group. But you know he's
Yeah.
60, retired. He's I guess semi-retired, and you know now he has the money and the freedom and everything to be able to do it and not have to
Yeah.
worry about it. You
Yeah. Well,
know.
I definitely have the freedom, you know, and I just checked on networth.org and they told me I have $14 million. So I was like, oh, really? I didn't
There
know I
you
was
go.
that rich, you know, but check them websites out. You know how you see an artist and you go, gee, I wonder what Rod Stewart's worth, you know, and you Rod Stewart's worth on Google and it comes up. So I tried it for myself and 14 million is a bit, you know, it's kind of crazy. But
Um,
but it's nice to know I got this kind of backing and money. I don't even know why I'm going back to music if I'm that rich, you know. But
yeah, no, right, yeah, yeah. Well, or
you know,
maybe just since you got that much, you could go out and buy another organ.
you know, people say you play because you love it, and that's so true. And you know, everybody, no matter what job they have in their life, they should do it because they love it. You know, but there's a gratification when you're actually rewarded for your service. You know, because you're performing too. So I've always understood that. although I did work for, I did the Jerry Lewis Telethon several times. I worked for muscular dystrophy. I worked for the Heart Association, cancer, all that stuff. I did a lot of fundraising and stuff like that. Even the Burn Center with Steinbrenner, I did that as well. That's where I first met Trump, but I won't go further into that. But but seriously, Bob, it's what you get out of it, you want to put back into it, but you do want to get some kind of gratification as well. So the reward has to be monetary, and unfortunately, it's true, But
Well, I
nobody.
remember, going to see you in St. Pete and that cold, rainy, windy day in Florida, of all places.
Really?
And they were like, they had to move it inside. I think there were like 10 people there.
Was
And
that the pier?
you played, it's like there were 10,000 people there.
Was that the Tampa Pier?
That was the pier, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was 10,000 people. See, I had these glasses, and they kind of cracked in here, and everybody looked triple. So instead of having 50 people in the audience, it looked like it was like 5,000. So it makes you want to play more, actually, But I'm just.
But that's one thing I, one thing I learned from you was it doesn't matter how many people are there. You play, you're there, you play, and you play your heart out. And the other thing from my friend Nick, when I the very first time he took me to play, it was just me and him, and I was lucky I could get 3 chords out, and I was like the nervous wreck, and he was like, "I'm going to tell you 2 things. The first thing is, don't stop playing. Just play, and and the second thing, everybody out there wants to be where you are."
100% true. The man is a philosopher. It's so true. And Carmine Apiece told me something. We played I played an intro to start our shows that had a lot of notes up and down the keyboard and going like this, up and down. And I said, "Come on, I'm screwing up like you wouldn't believe. I can't play these scales like this that fast." And he says, "Oh, yes, you could." He says, "Look, play as many bad notes as you want." I said, "Are you crazy?" He said, "I'm telling you, play as many bad notes as you want. Just do not lose the timing and tempo." He said, "If you play bad notes in timing and in tempo, people will not even realize you hit a bad note or several bad notes." I said, "I don't think that's true." Well, I believe it was BB King's or something. I screwed up so bad that night, but I didn't lose timing at all on that intro up and down the keyboard. I think it was the intro to Ain't That Peculiar. And the guy came up to me after the show and told me how wonderful I was. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he goes, "No, really." He said, "Oh, thank you so much. You're so kind." But inside, I said, "Gee, Carmine is right. It's like bullshit walks." And it's so true,
Well, it's Nick told me when he played weddings when he was in college. That's how they made their money. And he said they were playing this wedding, and he said, we used to play the same song. We used to get so bored with playing this, And he said they're at a wedding, and they're singing the chorus, and they're singing, "My cock and my balls, my cock and my balls, my cock and my balls," and they're singing this song. And he said they finished the song, and this old lady comes running up to them, and Nick's like, "Oh shit, we're in trouble now." And the lady said, "I love that song." That was so great.
That's like the old Blind Melon Chitlin thing where he got up on stage and he's playing that tune, and a lady comes over and says, "Excuse me, Blind Melon, but are you aware that your zip is open and your thing is hanging out?" He says, "Yeah, I remember that one." True story though, man. A friend of mine called me up in the 90s and says, "Bill, could you sit in on a wedding?" I said, "I don't do weddings." He goes, "Look, my keyboard player isn't making it." This is true. He says, "It's for Gotti." "Oh, John Gotti," that type of thing. George family, cousins and relatives. So I said, "All right, I'll behind you. Just make sure the guitar player is showing me the chords, like standing sideways, so I could play along with you guys, because that's how I play. I watch the chords and I follow." So I'm playing this wedding, and one thing I would never do, okay, for all the money in the world, I will not play my way. And that's like, it's mob, man.
Mhm.
Mob loves my way. Okay. So my friend offered me about $325 to do this gig. That's why I says, "Hey, it's money. I'll do it, but it ain't going to be anything." So this dude comes over to me. He looked like part of the mob, you know. And he walks over to the organ and he says, "Do me a favor." I says, "What?" He says, "Play my way." And I went to tell him what to do. You know what I mean? And he took $100 bill, a nice crispy one. He dropped it on top of my organ, and I just looked down at it, and I looked back up at him, and I said, "You want Elvis's version or you want Sinatra's?" He said, "Sinatra, don't give me that Elvis crap." I said, "You got it, buddy. You know, I did it my way." Yeah, but it shows you what you do for money, man.
Well, you probably didn't want to turn them down anyway.
Yeah, he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. But
Exactly.
that's what's so great about it. When they tell you to do something, it's an offer you really can't refuse. You know, it's wonderful. But yeah, I did a lot of work for Gotti in the 80s, especially with Randy and the Rainbows. I spent 12 years in that band. And we played all the Masfit Queens gigs, and Gotti was there, and he had us come out to his place in Long Island. He has a horse farm there with thoroughbred racehorses and stuff. And he had these big white tents with loads of chefs and what do you call it, waitresses and all that stuff. And you have these huge parties because he had a godchild that's fully grown, but she was named Denise. So Randy and the Rainbow's hit song was Denise.
Denise, right?
So John Gotti said, "I don't care if I have 5 bands at these functions. You guys are going to come. You're going to sit down at the table and eat with us, and you're going to get up and just do Denise for us." So we get $1,000 to go there and just do Denise. But it was amazing. We used to do all these things like that. Good memories, Bob. You know, going
Yeah.
back.
So since we're on Randy and the Rainbows, tell the story about not reading music.
Oh, that was with the Crests,
Oh,
man.
that was the Crest.
Lenny Coco and the Chimes. No, Lenny Coco and the Chimes, not the Crests. The Crests were 1980. Man, am I getting old? Or am I? But okay, in 1998, this is right before I got into the fudge. Okay, I wasn't doing anything, and my friend Howie Rosenberg, the bass player, said he just joined the Chimes, Lenny Coco, and they have a big thick book, this thick, and it has the whole show in it. As you open it up, it's written so professional and laminated and everything with every song and all the music, and they have horn players and the whole bit. So that I go down and Lenny hands me the book. And I said, "What's this?" He goes, "I want you to follow the book, see if you could get through with it. So I put the book down and I played the whole night. And he says, "Wow, you got the job." And I said, "Great." So I didn't read a note out of the book. I know chord signatures and things like that. I never practiced music, so I'm not going to sight read or anything like that. So I just, yeah, okay. And I put the book on the side and I had played. So after about 3 months, Lenny comes down and he goes, "Hey guys, I got a great new arrangement for the West Side Story." He says, "We're going to do Maria and I Like to Live in America and all that." I'm like, "Oh shit, this isn't rock and roll now. This is actually hard stuff." Luckily, Jimmy, the guitar player, is facing me. So I'm actually watching his chords as well on certain things I wasn't sure of, but I could basically by ear get by. So he gives us the music and we're all playing the music. And all of a sudden we get to the middle of this medley and everybody, horn plays and everything, hits this bad note. So then he stops the band. He goes, "Oh, guys, let's take it from this 12 or whatever it is. Again, you hit a bad note." So they do it again and bad note again. So he says, "You know something, I don't know what's wrong." And the horn player goes, "Well, I think you wrote it wrong because I'm playing what I'm reading." And he says, "I think you wrote the arrangement wrong." So he looks at the guy's music and he goes, "You're right." He says, "It's wrong." And he grabs the guitar players and goes, "Yeah, you're right. It's all wrong." And the stupid horn player says, "Well, Bill wasn't hitting the bad note the whole time." And then he went over and he looks at the music and he goes, "Bill, you got the same bad note there. Would you correct it or something?" I says, "No." "Lenny, how long have I been in the band now?" He says, "3 months." I said, "Well, I doubt if I'm going to get fired." I said, "You know something? I don't read music." He goes, "Get the out of here." I said, "No, really, I don't read music." I said, I do everything by ear. I said, "To me, it's a bother." I said, "So I wasn't following your arrangement. I was just following the guitar player and, what I was doing here." And he was like, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm totally serious." But that's a story of not knowing how to play and getting into bands. Uh, so I'm not a guy that could sit in a room, Bobby, and just practice all day. And I admire the guys that do that. but they kind of lose something on the social end of their lives because they spend too much time being a prodigy, you know, and I could never do that on a keyboard. I played what I needed to know, and that was sufficient with that. My playing ability has to just accommodate my voice because what I love to do is sing. And being able to sing, well, you had to play an instrument back then. So I picked up keyboard because, as you know, in College Point, where we grew up in, there was no keyboard players with the exception of Paul Errico, who also became
Mm.
famous, man, playing with Steve Forbett and everybody. But he was the only keyboard player in town, and he was really good. So I didn't have to be good. I just had to be a keyboard player. So I took my guitars and I put them on the side because I was a crappy guitar player, and there was too many good guitar players in College Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was smart. You know, bad guitar players usually play bass. Drummers just like to hang around with musicians, and it was yeah, it's true. Yeah, so basically it got down to, hey, you know, Bill's a keyboard player, so I was in several bands, and it was great because they really hire you to sing, but what they do is they say, well, what do you play, you know, and if you don't play anything. So I spent my first 2 years, 13, 14 years old, with a Silvertone organ with the chord buttons. I played the chord buttons. The notes,
Really?
I didn't know what the hell they were. Yeah, every band I was in, I was playing chord buttons, do, 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 C, F, and it even was labeled, so it made it easy for me. Yeah, and I even got a bigger keyboard because I ran out of chords. I needed a bigger chord button thing. And after like 2 years, I sat home one day and I hit the chord button on C, and then I sounded it out, C, E, G, and I went, oh, wow, that's what a C chord is. Okay. And I could do that with every chord. So that's what I did. And again, using my ear, played all the chords by ear, and then realized that I didn't have to play the chord buttons and be embarrassed anymore. I don't know how the band members put up with me. They actually accepted the fact that this guy's playing chord buttons. And it was Al John. Okay. It was Jimmy Black. You know, in the beginning, I didn't know how to play keyboards. So it was just, I wanted to sing. And so that's how that all evolved, basically. So I had a piano in my basement and I hated it. And my mother used to say, you practicing that piano? I'm paying for lessons. I'm like, yeah, Mom, but I wasn't. I hated playing the piano. But then you find the organ. Felix
Yeah.
Cavalieri, the Rascals. You remember back in the 60s, every band you had, they were clones of each
Right.
other playing the
Yeah.
rap.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my dog in the background, by the way.
Yes, I see.
The Rascals and the Fudge. And we used to play them songs and copy those bands with the bands I was in. And then we went a step further and we started making Fudge arrangements to songs like Fire and Rain by James Taylor and stuff like that. Obscure things that people would do, you know, instead of doing You Keep Me Hanging On from the Fudge, we did Stop in the Name of Love by the Supremes and arranged it like a Fudge tune. So those were qualities that I didn't realize we had back then. And 30 years later, guess what? I got to play with both these bands as their singer keyboardist and live the life. It was a great feeling to be able to do that. And it was a great inspiration to my friends who I drew in one by one to say, hey, you want to help us out this week? You know, the bass player can't make it, or the keyboard player or the guitarist can't make it, or whatever. Jimmy Black got to play with the Rascals, and it was with Eddie and Dino because Gene was in the hospital getting surgery on his appendix or something was wrong, and so it was a total full circle of being
Yeah.
able to merge the fragments with the Fudge or the fragments with the Rascals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you
That's
remember
cool.
that era. We still owe you money for the parking ticket. You know, you got when you were helping us as a road manager, and you parked illegally. And
Well, now that I know you have $14 million, I think I'm probably going to collect one.
oh yeah, I already sent you that check. I'm surprised you didn't get it already, man. Go out and have a party with it. Just don't spend it all in one place. What was it, $14 or $4?
Oh, back then it was probably like $5 or something like
But
that.
that was a lot of money back then, man. We didn't have a lot of bucks.
That's true.
We
That's
had to get girlfriends that had jobs.
um,
To musicians.
yeah, yeah. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Bill. So just so everybody knows, what's the website and where can, I'm sure you're going to be posting, all the gigs out on the website.
Did you see it after 12 years? Okay, I had my autobiography out and it had the wrong cover and it had the wrong text and it had terrible looking pictures. because I signed a damn 7-year contract with American Publishing for the money. Okay. And they dictated everything to me, you know, and it expired 2 years ago, the 7-year contract. And now I made my own autobiography and condensed it.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Yeah.
But it's got beautiful pictures. This is the front with the Rascals, Randy and the Rainbows, the Fudge, and it's got great stories in it. And it's exactly the way I intended it to be years ago. This is the back side of it, the spine. This is totally created by me. See, I even got pictures in it and everything. And the best picture is the front picture when you open that up and you see the Pascali Project,
Ah, there you go.
which is my brother Buster and my friends. And yeah, we're selling that. And it's billpascali.com. And I've had that domain for years, but I haven't used it for 12 years because I wasn't playing. But I put it back up. So you're going to see that. We're going to be doing some recording soon, but it probably won't be until the fall because I want the band to be really tight, you know. And
Yeah.
also I'm on Facebook, Bill Pascali, but I usually don't friend strangers on Facebook because it's not about the music. It's about family and old friends from years ago, like yourself. And but billpascali.com, you could go to bill@billpascali.com to email me, or billpascali@aol.com, or just look me up on Google, man. There's a million things that come out for Google and everything. And I appreciate you letting me advertise that stuff because, you know, when you've been out of the public eye for 12 years, they forget you totally.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
the few people that, you know, I had friends with. So now that I'm back doing things, it's like a little wake up call. I'm starting to get telephone calls from guys that, damn, like years ago I was in touch with. You know, that's a funny thing about music, Bob. If you're in the same band, you're family. The minute
Yeah.
the band breaks up, you never hear that relative again.
It's
You
funny,
know?
right? Yeah. It is funny.
Yeah, and it's so true though. But you know, we're like a little family now too, and I love it, man. The wives get together with the guys and everything, and we go out and do things, and it's so cool. I missed all that, and I missed playing. So you could bet the heart is there again. And I said 12 years ago, if my heart ain't in it, I ain't doing it. You know, and I didn't for 12 years. Now I'm totally retired, and I got plenty of time to sit down and play the right way. So I said, you know, I'm going to do it. This is very cool.
Well,
But thank
that's
you for your
great.
time, Bob. And
No, thank you. And that's great. And, you know, we'll send this all around. And I have a lot of friends in Florida and, you know, we'll get it on to the College Point people, and I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it.
yeah, and that's the way to go. And I'll put this on a Facebook page so all my, you know, friends from the past that could definitely check it out too. This is great that you're doing this for me. I appreciate it.
All right. No problem. Sounds great. And we'll
And
talk
remember when
again.
you're down in Florida, bring your guitar because
I
you're going to be
will.
on stage with us again doing na, hey, 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 goodbye. And that's a good reminiscence of years ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Take care.
Thank you, Bob. You have a great day, my friend.
You too.